Today, we're diving into a topic that's both critical and concerning: the potential collapse of nations. Throughout history, we've seen how fragile countries can be. Political instability, economic crises, social unrest. These are just some of the factors that can lead to a nation's downfall. As we look ahead to 2025, there are several countries that analysts believe are at a high risk of collapse. But what does it mean for a country to collapse? And how do we identify the warning signs? In today's video, we'll explore the concept of national collapse and highlight the countries that are most vulnerable. We'll take a closer look at what's happening in Afghanistan, Haiti, Venezuela, Lebanon, Yemen, Myanmar, Sudan, Libya, and Somalia. These nations are grappling with severe challenges that could push them to the brink by the end of 2025. So let's get started. Before we dive into specific countries, it's important to understand what we mean by collapse. When we talk about the collapse of a country, we're referring to a severe breakdown of political, economic, and social structures. This doesn't necessarily mean the country disappears, but rather that it can no longer function effectively as a state. The government may lose control, the economy may crash, and society may descend into chaos. So, what are the key indicators of a potential collapse? First and foremost is political instability. When a government loses legitimacy or faces strong opposition, it can struggle to maintain order. Economic crises are another major factor. A financial crisis now can snowball into a full-blown collapse if not addressed. Social unrest, often fueled by economic hardship or political oppression, can lead to widespread violence and instability. Finally, external pressures such as sanctions, foreign intervention, or natural disasters can exacerbate these issues. With these indicators in mind, let's take a closer look at the countries that are at the highest risk. First up is Afghanistan. The situation in Afghanistan has been precarious for years, but it has reached a critical point since the Taliban regained power. The withdrawal of international forces left a power vacuum that the Taliban quickly filled. However, their return has not brought stability. The country is facing an economic collapse now that international aid has been significantly reduced. The humanitarian crisis is worsening, with millions of people facing food shortages and lack of basic services. The combination of internal conflict, economic hardship, and the ongoing threat of extremist violence puts Afghanistan at a high risk of collapse. The government, if it can be called that, struggles to provide even the most basic services. The upcoming financial crisis in Afghanistan is not just about money, it's about survival. If these issues are not addressed, Afghanistan could descend into further chaos, with severe consequences for its people and the region. Next, let's turn to Haiti. Haiti has been plagued by political instability and economic difficulties for decades. The assassination of President Jovenel Moise in 2021 was a tipping point, leading to even greater chaos. Gang violence has surged, and the government seems powerless to stop it. The economic situation is dire, with high inflation and widespread poverty. The upcoming financial crisis in Haiti is a direct result of years of mismanagement and corruption. The country's institutions are weak, and there is little trust in the government. As the economic collapse news from Haiti continues to worsen, the social fabric of the nation is fraying. If the current trends continue, Haiti could become a failed state, with little hope of recovery without significant international intervention. Venezuela economic freefall. Now let's talk about Venezuela, a country that has been in a state of economic freefall for years. The Venezuela economic crisis is a stark reminder of how quickly a country can descend into chaos. Hyperinflation, food shortages, and mass migration have destabilized the nation. The government, led by Nicolas Maduro, has faced strong opposition both domestically and internationally, but remains in power, albeit with a tenuous grip. The financial crisis now in Venezuela is among the worst in the world. The currency has lost nearly all of its value, and the economy has contracted significantly. Millions of Venezuelans have fled the country, creating a humanitarian crisis across the region. The situation shows little sign of improvement, and the country could face further collapse if the economic and political challenges are not addressed. The upcoming financial crisis could push Venezuela into an even deeper abyss, with consequences that could ripple across South America. Lebanon, the edge of economic collapse. Lebanon is another country teetering on the brink. Once known as the Paris of the Middle East, Lebanon has been brought to its knees by economic collapse, political corruption, and social unrest. The Beirut port explosion in 2020 was a tragic symbol of the country's decay, but the problems run much deeper. The banking system has collapsed, with people unable to access their savings, and the currency has lost much of its value. The upcoming financial crisis in Lebanon is not just about the economy, it's about the survival of the state. The government is deeply corrupt, and there is little hope for reform. As the economic collapse, news continues to pour in. The people of Lebanon are losing faith in their leaders. If these issues are not addressed, Lebanon could face a complete breakdown of order, leading to even greater suffering for its people. Yemen, the endless war. Yemen is a country that has been in a state of war for years, and the situation shows no sign of improving. The conflict between the Houthi rebels and the internationally recognized government, along with external interventions, has created one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Millions of people are on the brink of starvation, and the economy has all but collapsed. The financial crisis now in Yemen is compounded by the ongoing conflict. The war has destroyed much of the country's infrastructure, and there is little hope for peace in the near future. The upcoming financial crisis could push Yemen into an even deeper abyss, with catastrophic consequences for its people. The international community has tried to intervene, but so far these efforts have had little impact. Myanmar, after the coup. Myanmar is another country at risk of collapse following a military coup in 2021. The coup led to widespread protests, which were met with violent crackdowns by the military. Ethnic conflicts have also intensified, leading to further instability. The economy, already weakened by years of mismanagement, has been severely impacted by the coup and the subsequent unrest. The financial crisis now facing Myanmar is a direct result of the political turmoil. The country's economy is in freefall, and there is little hope for recovery as long as the military remains in power. The upcoming financial crisis could push Myanmar into a deeper state of collapse, with devastating consequences for its people. Sudan, post-revolution uncertainty. Sudan has been in a state of political turmoil since the ousting of longtime dictator Omar al-Bashir in 2019. The country has struggled to transition to democracy, with tensions between military and civilian leaders leading to repeated crises. The economy is in dire straits, with high inflation and widespread poverty. The financial crisis now facing Sudan is a result of years of mismanagement and corruption. The upcoming financial crisis could push Sudan into further instability, with the potential for widespread violence and unrest. The international community has been involved in trying to stabilize Sudan, but the situation remains highly uncertain. Libya, a nation divided. Libya has been in a state of chaos since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. The country is divided between rival governments and militias, each vying for control. The economy has been severely impacted by the conflict, with oil production, a key source of revenue, disrupted by the ongoing violence. The financial crisis now facing Libya is exacerbated by the political instability. The upcoming financial crisis could push the country into even deeper chaos, with the potential for further division and conflict. The international community has tried to mediate between the rival factions, but so far these efforts have had little success. Somalia, perpetual conflict. Finally, we turn to Somalia, a country that has been in a state of conflict for decades. The central government struggles to maintain control, with large parts of the country controlled by militant groups like Al-Shabaab. The economy is in ruins, and the humanitarian situation is dire, with millions of people in need of assistance. The financial crisis now facing Somalia is compounded by the ongoing conflict. The upcoming financial crisis could push Somalia into even deeper chaos, with the potential for widespread violence and instability. The international community has been involved in trying to stabilize Somalia, but the situation remains highly precarious. The uncertain future. As we've seen, these countries are facing severe challenges that could lead to collapse by 2025. While it's difficult to predict the future with certainty, the signs are worrying. Political instability, economic crises, social unrest, these are all factors that can push a nation to the brink. The economic collapse news from these countries is a stark reminder of how fragile nations can be. But it's not all doom and gloom. In some cases, there is still hope. International intervention, internal reforms, and peace-building efforts could help to stabilize these nations and prevent a full-blown collapse. However, time is running out, and the challenges are immense.